Hello everybody, today we are back here with my 2015 Volvo S60. Love the look of this car. It's absolutely fantastic, I do believe, and it's my opinion that matters, so if you don't like it, that's too bad. No, if you're watching this, chances are you have one of these cars too, and you hopefully enjoy it as well. These are the ones that have the start-stop feature in them, and these cars, like a lot seem to have lately, have these ugly little secrets, things that they don't tell you about until you own them. For the start-stop on this, these cars have two batteries. You have your primary battery, which I already replaced about 1.5 years or 2 years ago, and you can see that on a separate video. My start-stop stopped working, and it would shut off if I, parked it and I was wanting to finish listening to a song on the radio or something. It wouldn't last 60 seconds, if that, before I said low battery and would shut off. So I replaced the primary battery and found out that I had to do a reset procedure to have it learn the fact that there's a new battery in there with new charging capabilities and capacity and all that. So I had to figure that out, and I posted a video on that, and that's been able to help a few people out as well. There's a secondary battery in here so that when you come to a stop, this secondary battery basically runs the systems in the car, from what I understand, so that your start-stop battery or your starting battery is not doing all of that function. These are tiny little batteries like what you might see in a lawnmower or motorcycle, and they're hidden under the cowl of the car. Now, one thing Volvo says on these cars is they don't like sitting either, and if you're like me during the pandemic situation, I didn't drive this car a lot, and on top of that I have a 15-year-old daughter that I got a little Toyota Matrix for, and I've been driving that around, putting miles on that instead of putting it on my car, and she can't drive it yet. I might as well. And it's a little 1.8 liter engine. I get great gas mileage with it, so why not? But that means this thing sits, and Volvo says these don't like that. With the start-stop feature, they want to be driven all the time, and they don't like a lot of little short trips. You need to get these things out and drive them, otherwise you run into this situation. Now my start-stop doesn't want to work properly on it because of the secondary battery. So we are back at that stage where I need to replace the second battery. It did get an extra 2 years out of it, so I can't complain too much. First things first, I'm rambling. Let's go show you where the battery is on this and how to get to it. Alrighty, here we are under the hood. Right over there, that cover is the primary battery cover. And right up here under this cowling, there's a second battery hiding. And if you see, there's no access panel there to get it off. So, how do you get to it? Well, the first things you got to do is take this, just pull up, it just slots in. See, there's a little piece right here that you just push it to put it back in place. You need to pull that off to about over where the other battery cover is, just out of the way a little bit. And you're going to have these things here that have little sections that see if I can do this with a fingernail. It's not easy. See, it's coming up. But this pops up and then the whole thing comes off. As this centerpiece comes out, this here is able to squeeze back together. When you push this in, it opens these little tabs up to lock it into place. See, now that lifts up right there. I'm going to set that right in the oil cap. There's one of these right here that has a tab or a little dot in the center. You got to get a small screwdriver, push on that one, and that does basically the same kind of thing. So let me first get a little screwdriver and we'll remove that. Alrighty, so if I just take a little small, it's a pretty small Phillips, and just push. Yeah, see how it pushes down in right there? And I should be able to pull this off. I may need to persuade it a little bit. Yeah, there we go. It's starting to come up. So that's up. Make sure you remember where these go. This one with a little push pin. And to reset the push pin, just kind of push down on it so that it sticks back up like that, so that you can squeeze these together properly. Set that in the oil cap. And this, see, it slots in there. There's another back there that needs to come out also. So I'm just going to remove this whole piece. It's not difficult to get in there. It just kind of pushes into a recess there. It's a pretty tight squeeze, but you know, it goes back in. And if you need to put that back in, tip is get you some soapy water, just some Dawn or some dish soap. It's not a bad idea to clean this up, but while it's still soapy, put it in there, it'll slide right back in. So we're gonna set that off to the side and then come over here and try to use a screwdriver because I was killing my fingernails. There we go. Ooh, almost scratched the car. You got to be careful what you're doing. I'm doing this one-handed, which is probably a really bad idea. Okay, so now if I lift up on this, I can get into the battery enough to see what I need to see. Now, what I'm going to do is take my little work light that I've got here, stick that on the side, and it acts as a prop and lets me get in there to that. Now, I've got to get a small, I think that's like a 6mm or something, I'll check, to remove these terminals. And there's a tie down right here, little clamp that holds it in place. I've got to remove that, and I think that's like an 8mm. And this whole battery lifts out. It's just a couple of pounds. It's really small. I mean, when I said it's the size of a garden tractor, I mean, that's my hand. It covers the whole thing. So let me get the sockets first, just confirm what size they are, and we'll get the stuff off. Alrighty, let's see if you guys can see this. Put you in a position where too much isn't going to be hidden. This that holds the tie down here is a 10mm, and I'm just using a 1/4 inch with a deep well there. That comes off quite easily. A little bit more than hand tight still. Be careful when you're removing this so you don't drop the nut. I don't know how far that goes down inside that cowl there. So have that, and I'm going to set that out of the way and just carefully I don't know how that's attached on the other side. Huh. Feels like this should rotate out, but it's not doing. Oh, there it goes. Just push it back a little bit, and it looks to be holding itself there. So we will allow that. So now I've got to figure out what size those are. And we are not 10mm, that's for sure. So let's find out what size those are. Okay, these are 8mm, so I'm going to loosen the negative first. Carefully remove it. Set that aside. And just push this out of the way back here. Now I'm going to loosen the positive, and I'm going to make sure I don't want to touch this between anything here and cause any grounding. Is that a very easy to loosen these. Oh, they're just barely even on there. Now, I don't know if there is voltage on this, so I'm going to get my multimeter and test to see if that goes to ground. Is that connected to the rest of the vehicle currently so that it has active power or not? Let's find out. Alright, I have my little mini multimeter here. We're going to connect to the negative here, since we know that's a good ground, and touch to that, and we get no voltage, which is a good thing. Go to ground, again, no voltage. So if that was live, I would really want to be careful with that. And I still am going to be careful, because I'm going to be putting this in a towel back here and just bending this out of the way, hidden inside a towel. See how I got it over there? I've just got it in the towel and wedged the towel in between this so that it can't touch anything. And now I get my tripod out of the way. I should just be able to pick this up. Oh yeah. These have a vent tube right there on the side. I forgot to mention that. Always forget about it. So let's take this over to where my replacement is going to be. Make sure my positive and positive, negative to negative are on the same side. But you notice my replacement is not a Volvo battery. The Volvo battery there, this is the old part number. There is a new part number to this that you can look up. The Volvo part number, or the Volvo battery, is like $100. The battery here that I got, which is a Mighty Max branded battery, model YTX12-BS, matches the specs on this battery. It's a 12 volt, 10 amp hour, and this, if you look at the rating on there, it's not stamped on there. And I don't know if it actually stamps it anywhere, but this is 180 coal cranking amps, and this one you actually see on it is 170 coal cranking amps. So the capacity of this battery is pretty much the exact same as this. The only difference is you see the post style is slightly different, and this one is vented, this one is sealed. It's not a vented battery. So there is that. That's the only thing that you've got to be careful of. I would save that just in case. I want to label it when I put it in there. Take my mounting stuff, and I'm going to make sure that my stuff that I use here actually works, because see, this has a captive nut. This threads in, but this uses a captive nut that you set up under here and has the screw to go in. I don't know if these nuts here will use the factory bolts for the Volvo, so let's find out. And as you can see, this is the factory Volvo bolt using the nut that comes with this, and it works perfectly. So what you do is you just slide these in place in here. Oops, does it go this way or this way? I have to... One-handed, I can't do this too easily, but you slide it in on the side here, and then that's what you screw into
to hold it in place. So let me get this ready, and then we just got to set it back in the car. And I did test this. It is a good idea to test the voltage on this and make sure it's charged properly. This comes pre-charged. It's showing 13 volts. So I had this on a charger. Let's see what it shows. Okay, on the charger, I got my terminals backwards, but it would have still worked. Put that down in there, hold it in place. See, this is showing 1277 after charging it, which is okay, but this is going to discharge quickly is what I found though. So if I don't use this after a couple of days, the charge will go down on that really quickly, and it shouldn't on this because it's a new battery. So let me get my nuts in place here, and we'll put this back in. Alright, I've got the battery ready to go back in, but before I put it back in, I'm going to take a piece of sandpaper and on both of these terminals, just give it a little bit of a scuffing. And you see when it makes it shiny like that, is getting the corrosion and gunk off of it, just to make sure it's a good clean surface. And I'm going to do that on both sides. We'll set this back down into place. And see, it fits perfectly there. And my hold down nut. Get that started. The little nuts on this thing don't actually push into place, so what you got to do is just sit them in there, use the bolt to hold it in place, and then when you start it, it'll draw it back up. Ooh, maybe it won't because of the thickness of that. So in this case, I'm going to have to put something back under that to make it set up. Just a piece of paper or something up under there for the moment. Things you learn. Alrighty, so it started. What I did is I just tore off a little piece of the cardboard box from that the battery came in, and use that to stick up under that nut there. If you use a factory battery, you won't have to do this, obviously, but I'm not using a factory battery, and I'm probably putting the wrong post in first here, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyway. I'll just pull out my piece of paper, and over on this terminal, I'll just give it a quick cleaning also. My watch just chimed and scared the heck out of me. I lost my socket. Oh, there it is under my towel. Tighten that down. Tighten my finger a little bit better. There we go. Okay, that's held in place good. Get my little piece of paper out of the way there. And now I will get my my 10 millimeter and tighten this down. Okay, that is done. So now I'll get my tripod out. Get my light out of here. All I've got to do is the cowl goes under this part right here, so you may have to end up pushing this back up in there. I don't know if you saw that because I wasn't looking. See how it slides under that little section next to the windshield? If it comes out, push that back in and you'll know it's out because these won't line up, all the holes here. So now I'm taking the one that went here, I'm going to make sure that center section is up, put that back in there, and then push it down. That's all we got to do. Now, let me get this one back in here, which was this one. Push that down. Push this back down into place. That goes in right there. See, it's not too bad, really. And then we've got this one. And I do apologize for being so shaky. You try doing this one-handed. I'm going to need two hands for this one, though, so I'll be back. Alright, just had to get it started. And if you see, this thing has to be really high up. So, and then I just take the back end of a screwdriver and then just tap it back down until it's flat like that, and then it's held in place. Now, all I've got to do on this molding is just start pushing it back in. See, it just slides right in. Make sure it's in nice and firm. I barely even got my hands dirty either. I didn't wear gloves or anything. But that's all there is to this. Replacing that battery, thankfully, is fairly easy. So there we go, guys. We have replaced the battery, the secondary or auxiliary battery or helper battery or whatever you want to call it battery in a 2015 Volvo S60 2.0 with start-stop. Yeah, I know it's a mouthful. I kind of like the old cars that if you had a start-stop feature or something like that, you had a battery. If the battery wasn't strong enough to start it, tough. You know, none of this. When they added the computers to this stuff, they kind of messed it all up, I think. And I'm an IT person, so it is what it is. But I still love the car because it's really comfortable and it's fun to drive and it looks fantastic. So now we've got to go out and test it and make sure the start-stop works. It is 90 degrees or so right now, and sometimes when you first start these, they will not do start-stop because it has to cool the inside of the car down to a respectable level so that when you come to a stop, you're not too hot. So I'll take it out, drive it around a few miles, and we'll see if it stops at an intersection or something. Alrighty, so we have driven the car for about 20 minutes now. The start-stop is currently not available, but it's not because of low voltage condition now. When you hit My Car on your Volvo, on this model, it'll tell you start-stop available or not, and it says unavailable. You can click OK or hit OK and go into the Drive E option, and it'll tell you what's going on. And previously I was getting the low voltage message, the battery condition may be or battery charge may be low kind of message that it gives you. Not getting that anymore. Basically it's just too hot out now. It says the outside temperature is beyond the scope of its operating abilities or something like that, so it's just hot out. So I think we have solved the issue with the low voltage with the weak battery, I'm pretty sure. After having had the one that I had on the charger, it wasn't reading as high a voltage as the new one
out of the box from the mail. So I think that's a pretty good sign. Sorry for you guys in warm weather climates. Apparently you'll never be able to get to see the start-stop feature on this because it doesn't work at high temperatures. So, but I will take this. I think it's a win. I will try to post a video update about a year from now, sooner if things don't go right, and let you know what the longevity of this battery is. I have not used this battery type in a car before, so I don't know what the results are going to be, but there are only about 4 or so battery manufacturers worldwide. So a lot of these, even whether it's an off-brand or one that you haven't heard of before, they're all made by the same set of companies. So theoretically, they would have the same operating parameters, and this looks to be one of those cases potentially. So we're going to go with that until I find out different, and if I do, I will let you know, and I'll make sure to adjust the comments of this video as well. So again, it is not a Volvo certified battery, so proceed at your own risk though. I am doing this by my choice. I did see a couple of people that say they have used this battery in their Volvo with good results, so I went ahead and made the decision to give it a try. So I potentially will destroy my car, so you don't have to. I don't think it's going to happen. It's just a battery. It's an auxiliary battery too, but just wanted to throw that disclaimer out there. Always proceed with caution if you're not using factory parts. So see you guys later.